This lesson involves how to write equations of parallel lines. So what does it take to write an equation of a parallel line? Well, the first thing we have to do is understand what it means to be parallel lines. It says two vertical lines are parallel if they have the same slope. So our key right here is this. Parallel lines have the same slope. All right? So if parallel lines have the same slope, then we can use that information to create equations of lines that are written in all the different forms that we have. Okay, so what we're going to focus on right now, everybody understand that, we're going to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form parallel to a given line. So here's what I see. We've got to write it in slope-intercept form, and this line has to be parallel. Parallel means same slope as the given line. All right? Now, this is no different than how we've been writing equations of lines before. There are two key elements that you need to have to write the equation of a line. The first one is the slope. All right? So we're going to figure out the slope of the given line and recognize that that slope is the same for the parallel line. Those two lines have the same slope. Second thing, we're going to identify a point, just like we have before. So once again, once I have this slope, which we're going to call the parallel slope, and once I have this point, x1, y1, then I can plug it into point-slope form, and then in two steps change it over to slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is what they want us to write the equation in. All right? So let's take a look at an example. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. First thing I'm going to do is I recognize right away in the given equation 1/2 is my slope. All right? I'm going to take that information and I know that that means that the parallel slope is going to be 1/2. I know it has to pass through the point -1, 2. I go to point slope. Y minus 2 equals 1/2 times x minus -1, which would be x plus 1. Now the equation is in point slope. Change it to slope-intercept, two steps. Y minus 2 equals 1/2 x plus 1/2. Add 2, but I'm going to add so that I have a common denominator here. 2 is really 4/2. So this leaves me with the equation y equals 1/2 x plus 5/2. That's the equation of a line that is parallel to the given line. Remember, this is my given line. So it's parallel to the given line, and it passes through this point. Okay? Let's try another one. All right? I recognize in the given equation that this is my slope, -3/4. I know that the parallel slope has to be exactly the same, -3/4. They want this new equation to go through the point -2, 3. Plug it into point slope. Y minus 3 equals -3/4 times x minus -2, which in this case would make it x plus 2. Distribute. Y minus 3 equals -3/4 x, and then this would be minus 6/4. -3 times 2 is -6 over 4 times 1, which is 4. I'm going to add 3, which means I need to add how many fourths? Well, 3 is the same as 12/4. All right, so this leaves me with y equals -3/4 x plus -6 plus 12 will be 6/4. Now, I notice on the 6/4 I can simplify it. Yes, you must. Y equals -3/4 x plus 3/2. And this is the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Okay. So what if they give me a slight variation here? And in this slight variation, they give me an equation of a line, but I don't know the slope of this line. I do know that if I solve the equation for y, if I get y by itself right here, then I know from slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, that I'll be able to identify the slope. So let's try that. All right, so the first thing I want to do here is solve for y. I got to subtract 2x. 3y equals negative 2x plus 4. Divide everything by 3. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4/3. Now I'm able to identify what the slope of the given equation is. It's negative 2/3. I take that information. I know that the parallel slope will also be negative 2/3, and they want this new line to pass through this point, 2, 3. Now I go to point slope. Y minus 3 equals negative 2/3 times x minus 2. Distribute. Y minus 3 equals negative 2/3 x plus 4/3. Add 3 to get y by itself, which means I'm going to add how many thirds? So 3 is 9/3. So this tells me y equals negative 2/3 x plus 13/3. And that is the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Let's try one more and then go on to the worksheet. Okay? So again, if I get y by itself, then that creates an equation called slope-intercept form, in which I am able to identify what the given slope is. All right, so for this one, I'm going to subtract 3x, which leaves me with negative 4y equals negative 3x minus 2, and then divide everything by negative 4. Well, a negative 3 divided by a negative 4, that's going to be positive 3/4 x. And a negative 2 divided by a negative 4, well, that's going to be positive 2/4, which I could simplify to 1/2. But remember, this is all I'm worried about, is what's the slope of the given equation. The slope is 3/4, which means that the parallel slope also has to be 3/4. They want it to pass through the point 3, 6, which leads me to the equation. Y minus 6 equals 3/4 times x minus 3. Distribute. Y minus 6 equals 3/4 x minus 3 times 3 is 9/4. I'm going to add 6, which means I'm going to add how many fourths? Well, 6 is 24/4. So now I have y equals 3/4 x plus 15/4. And this is the equation in slope-intercept form. All right, what I would like you to do now is worksheet 214. Good luck, and let me know if you have any questions.